when we think about stigma, when we think about criminalization, when we think about old medicine and old science that our laws uplift, these are the things that sometimes we forget to mention when we speak about reproductive justice. And reproductive justice is very important when we speak about our bodies, but we also have to take a holistic approach and think about all the intersectional systems that affect the way we live and affects the health and well-being and the safety of our bodies. This is why we decided to do Crossroads of Reproductive Justice, to start uplifting these issues that we know are issues in our lives, in our communities, and our families, but maybe sometimes others, and maybe sometimes ourselves, we fail to make that connection at times. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our lobbyist again, Devin Barrington-Ward, who will then give a great introduction to our keynote speaker that will hopefully drive everything home for you.
I'm going to speak from up here because my sister Jennifer has told me she wants to speak from up here. So I'm going to be you know, that's a church concept, the obedience. I won't adjust it too much because she's taller than everyone's taller. I'm going to do this without being emotional. I met Jennifer years ago, and we've had numerous experiences together. And immediately, that was my sister, and I was her brother. We have a lot of late night conversations, a lot of plotting and scheming, a lot of spilling of tea, but ultimately, love is the way that I would describe and sum up our relationship. There was a couple of times where I've seen Jennifer truly live up to what we're talking about today, which is intersectionality. I was at the first convening, and the only convening thus far, for the Movement of Black Lives conference that took place in Cleveland a few years ago. And I saw Jennifer get on stage with the trans folks who were at the conference and demand that they be heard and that they be seen. And in that moment, I was proud to be her brother. Not just because of what she represented, but what she inspired me to do. Later at that conference, after she had left, there was an impromptu action that took place with many of the conference attendees and the Cleveland police. And I remember being in a situation where I was lacking a bit of courage, and I remember Jennifer getting on stage. And it's why I didn't back down from some police officers, and I got pepper sprayed for the first time in my life. That wasn't fun. But I said, you know, what if it was my sister? And I thought about my sister yesterday when I saw what the 45 administration decided to do as it pertains to trans youth. I also thought about my sister when I saw yet again another black trans woman was murdered. I think about her all the time when I see that black trans women are murdered, left in the streets, like their life has no value. It's why I do the work that I do day in and day out, because I know that my sister fights for me and I fight for my sister. I think that's something we can all relate to. We recently even solidified our bond even more because I was recruited to be a part of the House of Balenciaga. And Jennifer is a part of the House of Balenciaga. She was a part of that house before I was. And it even further solidified our bond. She is oftentimes my inspiration. She pushes me even when I know that she knows that she's getting on my nerves. She challenges me to think differently, and she protects me And I think she exhibits the strength that so many Black trans women exhibit, and that we oftentimes take for granted. And so for that's why I asked if I could introduce my sister, because she means the world to me, and I want her to mean the world to you all. And so I'm so excited and proud of the woman that she's become, the woman that she's going to continue to be, and the woman that's going to speak before you today, Jennifer Barnes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I guess I want to get to this, but I do want to speak on a few points beforehand. Devin kind of hit on some points with, or the main issue that we're dealing with right now, which is the repeal of, and before I do that, I want to kind of take you through a story. A time when there are individuals who are unsure, unaware that there's an ability and an understanding of being a different person, being a person that they see in their dreams, or that they draw, using self-example, that they draw in notebooks and dream about some of the things that they see on TV, but not even knowing that it's achievable. Living in a day and age now, understanding that there is hope and movement in being able to actually hold on to the understanding of who you are. And for that feeling to be taken away, that security to be rivaled by people who are not who you are. They can never understand what you're going through. It's a very jarring feeling. And that's what really bothers me about this new repeal. It's more about the daunting of what a person could be. You never know. I never knew that who you see before you is the person I could be until 3 years ago. How amazing is that? That's so interesting. But moving into the speech specifically, good afternoon. I am very pleased to be able to speak in a space that Spark Reproductive Justice Now, which I'm going to refer to as SRJN, has implemented, a space they have implemented for the gainful knowledge of those who are in danger of two, in my opinion, very important issues, and understanding the intersection in between those will definitely be explained. I wanted to, I kind of feel like Dr. Redman has already kind of given an overview of what reproductive justice is, but I found a quote that I found very fascinating. It says, reproductive justice is the complete physical, mental, spiritual, political, economic, and social well-being of women and girls, and will be achieved when women and girls have the economic, social, and political power and resources to make healthy decisions about our bodies, sexuality, and reproduction for ourselves, our families, and our communities in all areas of our lives. The first issue that I would like to specifically talk about, and makes me feel very secure alongside SRJN, is the fact that being able to acknowledge that all persons, regardless of gender and non-binary identities, while understanding the importance of protecting and fighting for the liberation of these persons' reproductive rights. I know I spoke specifically in the quote about women and girls, but we must look at that through a lens of every individual and their reproductive rights. With that choice, I believe that no part of my being should be under scrutiny or prohibited by any law or statute. The same mentality must be used in the continuing fight for liberation for all women. What this looks like for me is making sure you are up to date on all current events, of course, but more importantly, self-evaluation of what it means to have your birthright or of choice taken away. I don't think people really think about that, about putting yourself into that position. And I think that's one thing that I'm most proud of being able to do, is being able to speak in front of legislators and kind of bring them into an understanding of day to day, if not a moment that I've lived through. Policing of anyone's genitalia and basing one's daily ability or usefulness strictly on this superficial outlook is just unacceptable, in my opinion. The second issue that is needed for intersection is the smashing of HIV testing and the lens in which we as society look at the necessity of prioritizing that in our routines every day in life. I actually just left a testing event on the way here. That's why my hair looks a fool. So it's so funny each time that I'm in a new space with people that are getting tested, or you're specifically there for the purpose of testing them, the understanding or the drawback that people have, even when they're in because this is an environment where we come once a month, so we're there routinely. And it's still interesting to see how people draw back into themselves, even when knowing the necessity of every 3 months getting tested regularly. It's very fascinating to me. Especially, and I say that specifically because the institution we just left is mostly those who are of color. And I really believe that that's it. With starting with the epidemic, exactly where we feel the most focus for ourselves can be, which is those of color and the high rates that we have being here in Atlanta, Georgia. It is my understanding that within the last few years working in the public health field, that increased knowledge and acceptance spreads across the vast territories of HIV testing. PrEP, PEP knowledge, and adherence importance. Those are very closed lenses. A lot of light is being shed upon that, especially within DC. I'm very proud of that area. New York does a lot of things, but I feel here in Atlanta we have a long way to go when it comes to talking about PEP or PrEP or PEP. And every time that I am testing someone, there is a demographic that has to be filled out. And so I want people to understand that even outside of, if I wasn't working for this organization, I understand now that it asks about if it has check marks of yes, you take PrEP, PEP, no, you don't take it, or unfamiliar. I never want to check the unfamiliar box with anyone that goes through counseling or testing with me. This knowledge will not be able to fully be utilized without creating spaces like this and opportunities of true testimony from those who look like me. Lastly, I want to leave you with the understanding in order to see this change. We here today have so eloquently described, and I truly believe it begins with us seriously participating in making truth and unwavering inclusion a priority. What that looks like is showing up, perhaps calling local legislators, writing letters of concern to whomever is responsible for local policy conflicts. That goes outside of legislators. If there's someone specifically at a CBO that you know about, or an organization where you can talk to your director, because I'm one of those people, I won't go to the little people. I like to speak to the higher ups or the people in charge, and I think that's something I want everyone to get knowledge of, because that's the people that are going to make the decision changes and have the power to do so. In spreading and calling local legislators, whomever is responsible for local policy conflicts, spreading the importance of this knowledge publicly. Amongst groups like us, it's really nice. I actually was attacked by this by a house brother earlier this week because he didn't understand the work that I currently do. And I think that I can learn. I was very offended by it, to be honest. But I think when I stepped back and I actually looked at what he said, I understand he doesn't really understand the work that I do fully, and perhaps that's not because, or maybe it's because he doesn't pay attention, and I do have parameters. I like for people to call me. I'm not a big texter. I like to speak via phone, in person, understand that person's emotions, and be able to convey whatever knowledge needs to be given. But when I actually looked at it, I understood that I need to do a better job and can do a better job of giving that knowledge to anyone that I come across. And of course, we all know that starts at home. Home for me is my house of Balenciaga, which is, I don't think we really got the chance to explain that. It's ballroom community. Ballroom community is a unity amongst LGBTQA individuals that get together and have a space, and also, if I may interject, for cisgendered individuals that may not identify as any of those, but are allies and decide to participate within the competitions that happen. And when you're in a house, it's a form of a family, even though there's an organizational setup or alignment in which you kind of deal with people. So it's very useful. So, and I'm sure that a lot of people have heard a lot of negative things, but that's the reason why I put myself in the forefront to show people that there are great outcomes when it comes from those who are of ballroom community. I really feel like that sums up my entire feelings as of right now. I really think that I'll be taking a lot of time within the next couple of weeks to see how things are moving within the legislation, because I feel like it's not over yet. A lot more is to come, and I'm prepared, and I extend to you the offer to make sure that you're ready as well for any legislation or anything that you see that may be an obstacle for those who may not even look like or identify as you.